Stepping out of my room at the Mika Eco Resort Hotel in Hoima, Uganda this morning, I saw this guy having some breakfast. I was walking to the hotel restaurant to do the same before we head out on the day's adventures. We were pretty much out of food by now, but with breakfast and dinner at the hotel, we just needed something for lunch. Driving through Hoima, we spotted the familiar yellow umbrellas and found one with a Rolex vendor. Remember Rolex? It's kind of the Uganda national food. It's made with eggs, a little bit of sliced tomato, some seasoning, and flat chapati bread. Oh yeah, and lots of oil. With the lunch problem solved, at least for today, we headed out of town and into the countryside again for the nearly 2-hour drive to our destination. In northern Uganda, we had seen many small informal plots of banana trees, but nothing like the big plantations we were seeing on our drive here in the western central part of the country. I had seen banana trees before, but had never seen exactly how they grow. They have a big purple flower, and the petals open and curl up, revealing a row of baby bananas underneath. As they grow, the petals will continue to open to create another row, and the process continues until they start to look like this. Passing through the town of Congolese, we stopped to look at a small hotel. The rooms were very basic, but clean, and each had a bathroom attached. We had kept our rooms at the Mika for tonight, since we didn't really know what we'd find out here, but this project was going to last for 2 more days, and while we still had the 2-hour drive to and from Hoima tonight and tomorrow morning, the quick drive for Congolese would be much easier, if only for the last night and morning we would have left. Leaving Congolese, we passed by a tiny gas station. This is what they look like once you're outside of the cities here in Uganda. Continuing down the slightly muddy road, we finally reached a Congolese refugee settlement, home to over 125,000 Congolese refugees, where our next project was located. Not just anyone can come into these settlements, and unfortunately, I was told it would be a bad idea to film the men with automatic weapons at the entry checkpoint, but Henry got us in somehow, even though I'm not really sure we have official permission to be here. First, driving through a small business district, then past a few homes, we reached the primary school where we would be installing Henry's water filtration system. The school did have running water from a nearby spring, but it was not filtered or treated. After a brief meeting with school officials, we got to work. Henry's guys, Nabil and Wycliffe, had already started when we got there, so we picked up some tools and joined them. We were excited to finally install one of Henry's systems and see it in action. So much of this is just hard work, and Henry's not afraid to join in and get his hands dirty. When he's not digging trenches, hauling bricks, or advising on the technical aspects of the installation, he's on his phone or laptop. It was not unusual for him to be heading to a late-night meeting as we were heading to bed. As the work continued, we discovered they had accommodations for us right here at the school. We walked across the square past the cows and chickens, between the classrooms on the other side, through a construction site, and over to kind of a dormitory. Inside, we found these small rooms with a comfortable bed and attached bathroom. It was great. We were set for tomorrow night. We still had to go back to the Mika for tonight, so we headed out through the small business district, out of the settlement on the dirt road and back on the highway for the nearly 2-hour drive. Dinner and breakfast would be at the hotel, but we still needed to buy food for the next couple days, so once back in Hoima, we drove around looking for grocery stores. There was no supermarket, just a few small food markets with nearly bare shelves. Nothing that we can make a meal out of. We just have to figure something else out. We got back on the road to Congolese the next morning with a change of clothes and a toothbrush after an extra big hotel breakfast. All the food we had left were some granola protein bars and packets of instant oatmeal. Jerry and Dave had dinner last night at a bar and grill on the hotel grounds and got a takeout pizza for tonight's dinner. With the protein bars for lunch and oatmeal for breakfast tomorrow, we felt we could get by. Back at the school, we were relieved to see that the stainless steel tank we were going to need was being delivered. Once again, Nabil and Wycliffe had already started, so we got right back to work, helping Nabil with the outside plumbing, running the pipes through the wall, and making all the final connections. While Wycliffe stayed outside working on the faucet enclosure, this is where people would come for the filtered water. Setting tile and smoothing the plaster, we went inside with Nabil and Henry to install the filter system. Getting things done in Uganda is always difficult. Henry receives no government funding at all. His organization is completely donation driven. His drill had recently broken, and he had not yet been able to replace it, so we had to make the holes for pipe connections in the tanks by hand with a drill bit.
A little loose.
By now, Wycliffe had finished the tile work, and we each got to, somewhat ceremoniously, install the faucets that would supply the drinking water. The next morning, as Nabil made the final connections, we got to work making these small portable sediment filters that we would be giving out to a few families in the settlement. With our portable filters finished, we drove out of the schoolyard and into the settlement. We hired a local man to guide us to homes near one of the water sources. This is a really big place, there is no map, and we had no idea how to find our way around. When we stopped and got out of the car, a crowd of kids quickly gathered and Jerry instantly connected with all of them. The way they followed him made Dave ask,
"What are you, the Pied Piper?"
I just said this thing, I feel like the Pied Piper right
Exactly what I had run through my head too.
Yeah, I was like,
we were quite a novelty here. It's not every day 3 white guys from the U.S. come into their community. Henry couldn't just hand out the filters we made without educating the residents on use and care, so we stopped at this home to give a demonstration. The man in the red apron seemed to be kind of a low-level community leader, and with Henry's instruction here, he would be able to help the others when we were gone. Word seemed to be quickly getting out that something was going on, because more and more adults were coming to see the filters, and kids were coming to see the 3 white guys. Henry wanted to see the source of their water, and we had 3 more filters to give out, so we left this filter here at the house and walked to the track that would lead us down the long hill to the spring. As we neared the bottom of the hill, with our ever-growing crowd, it was clear this could not be the only source of water for the entire settlement, but it was the only one we visited. At the bottom, we found this young woman doing laundry in the same muddy spring that is used for their household and their drinking water. Even as Henry enlisted her help in filling the bucket for another demonstration, the local women and children kept coming on their daily task of filling the 5-gallon jugs that they would carry up the hill to their homes. After giving another demonstration himself, Henry asked the local leader to go through the procedure as well to be sure he'd be able to keep the filters working after we had gone. You can see the difference that even a small portable filter can make. With a little help from the leader, Henry chose families to receive the last 2 filters we had left, and we each had the privilege of personally giving one out. With the demonstration and giveaways done, we headed back up the hill. This is the hill the women and children carry water up every single day. We needed to get out of here and back to the school, as we were causing quite a commotion, and once again, we didn't have official permission to be here. Once safely at the school, we had a last look at all that had been accomplished. Unfortunately, Henry's system had not yet been running long enough for the tanks to be filled, so we didn't get to see any filtered water come out of the faucets, but it was time to go. We said our goodbyes to Wycliffe and Nabil, who were both so patient with us, and whom we'd worked so closely with the past few days, and then we got on our way. On the road back to Hoima for one last night at the Mika Eco Resort, I was thinking about the day and reflecting on the last couple of weeks here in Uganda. Before coming here, I would never have imagined that I would ever be halfway around the world, in the middle of Africa, in the middle of a refugee settlement, surrounded by these surprisingly upbeat people. What was even more surprising to me was that after all our experience here in Uganda over these past 2 weeks, this didn't even seem that remarkable in the moment. Tomorrow morning, we leave Hoima for the last time and start heading toward Entebbe. It's not really that far, but we'll spend a couple days getting there because Henry has a few places he wants to stop so he can show us some other programs he's involved with that are much different from the refugee settlement and the small villages. Now, I'm not exactly sure what all that entails, so we'll find out together on my next Uganda video. I'll see you then.